Okay. My name, as you've heard, is James Kiragu. James Kiragu Kamanga, and I love the Lord. I'm a member of this community. I'm one of you. I stand here not in my personal capacity, but in the capacity of the leadership of the church, and I've been requested to speak about the strategic direction. As I was thinking of what to say, two phrases came into mind. And I think today, being the 8th-year anniversary, we are looking at two things. One, we are being historical. But two, we also need to be futuristic. So it's good to be historical, but it's also good to be futuristic. So two things. We are looking backwards where God has brought us from. But also in a sense, we are putting on our vision lenses and envisioning and crafting where we want as a community or as a congregation for God to take us. I speak on behalf of the leadership which is here, and allow me to just introduce them. I think most of them are here. The leadership is composed of two very able ladies and 5 gentlemen. So allow me to start with the ladies. I think Wanja Rakuo is here. Can you just stand so that the congregation can be able to see you? That's Wanja Rakuo. Then we have Anne Omondi, who is here with us also as well. And I've been with this congregation from the inception, from the first day. In terms of the gentlemen, we have our treasurer, Elder Maxwell. That's our treasurer. Then we have George, and we are lucky enough that George is able to be with us today. He works on Sunday, so sometimes he's not here, but we thank God that he's here. And then we have our 2 pastors, Pastor Samuel Mwangi, myself, and Pastor. So today we celebrate 8 years of God's faithfulness since the inception of Karura Community Chapel. Last year we were here, and the theme for last year was Ebenezer. And we had the privilege to hear a message that was titled, God, our helper. That message is on our YouTube platforms for those that may not have been here to listen again, and for those that may have listened to even actually just re-listen. We talked about Ebenezer, God our helper. And for sure, since last year, August, up to this August, we can say that God has helped us. Not only as a congregation, but as individuals. You can look back in the past 1 year, and you can be able to say God has helped you. So the last 1 year, and Pastor enumerated the journey that we have taken in the last 1 year. it has not been by power, it has not been by might, but it has been by God's Spirit and God helping us. Pastor enumerated about the Agape Hall, and we have an able team that looks in infrastructure development. Therefore, looking back, not only in the past 1 year, but in the last 8 years, it is critical that we take time, and this is our custom as a community and as a congregation, to take time and show our gratitude to God by just telling Him thank you. And for the Swahili speakers in the midst of us, to just tell God asante, because this far you have brought us, even before we begin to look futuristic. So I'll give you an opportunity for 30 seconds or 1 minute, where you are, to just bow your head, and in the best way that you know, to just tell God thank you, as an individual and as a congregation, for this far, God has helped you. God has helped us as a community. Thank you very much. So as a community, I was listening to what Pastor was saying, and community is common union or common unity. For there to be a community, there must be things that are common amongst the people that are there. We are community because we fellowship here every Sunday. We are community because we live in this community. But much more, we are a community because we have been brought together by Christ. And I think Pastor talked about Christ. Because Christ saved you and Christ saved me. And we are all becoming Christ-like. That is something that is a bond that binds us together. What is common in Karura Community Chapel, Kabuku, and the other fellowships is the vision that we have. We have a common vision. We have a shared vision, which is that we all want to be Christ-like, engaging the world. So the common shared vision binds us together, even as we move forward. But when you look futuristically, or into the future, we have a common or a shared strategic direction. That as a community, as a church, in terms of the direction that God takes us, we have that shared out. And as a leadership, when we look at the shared direction, and for today I'll take a short period of time because we may not be having time to completely expound on that shared direction. But we are looking at 3 things. And I'll quickly just enumerate those 3 things, which will kind of like focus on in the next 3, 5, 10 years going forward. One is what we are calling enhancing congregational understanding of how the church operates, of how the church functions, of how the church is structured. It is possible to be in a congregation and not understand how the church is structured, how the church functions, how the church operates, how the church is led, how the church is governed. And for you to come into that community, it is important for you to have that understanding. And the intention is to shed light on this area. And one of the ways we are proposing is to have what we are calling forums, leadership development forums, where issues that have to do with church structure, church leadership, church governance, church budget process, church finance and church financial management can be enumerated so we are all on one page. We have had 2 such forums in the past 1 year, and we intend to continue to have those forums, very interactive forums, where we discuss on these issues and shed light on these issues. And these forums are open to all of us. And so when the next forum is called upon, you can create time to be part and parcel of that forum or that session, where we'll be enhancing the congregational understanding of our church, how it's structured. We talk about church leadership, church governance, church finances, church budget. We have time for question and answers. And we bring in different facilitators that have been with the church for a long time, both here and the main church, to enumerate on these things. The second area is defining and articulating the strategic intent and direction of the church. God has helped us for the last 8 years, but we are proposing that we come up with for the past 8 years, the main church operates through a strategic plan, which is a 5-year strategic plan. And we are proposing that we can go through a process of coming up with the first strategic plan of Karura Community Chapel, which clearly defines and articulates, and that process will be looking at where we are going, and proposing how we envisage to get there. So this is still at its infancy stage. Some of us know that we kind of like going through that process. This process will entail prayerfully and in a participatory way and in a consultative manner, collecting ideas and inputs and suggestions from all of us. And you may be approached as an individual or in your group as an affinity group or a CLG. We have a strategic planning team that is collecting all that information, whose output then will become a strategic plan which will give us direction that we need to take. One of the key areas that we are looking at is the area of infrastructure development. And I think a lot has been done in that area in the past 1 year. There's still a lot that needs to be done, but a lot has been done in that area. And God has helped us, both from the Agape Hall as well as the technical department in terms of the equipment, beginning all the way from the speakers, and this morning the screens, and moving the control place from the side to the back. So these are things that we are looking at. So when called upon, please kindly feel free to participate in that process, because your inputs and your communication will help us in terms of the direction that we'll all be taking going forward. Lastly, once we understand where we are going, and how we envisage to get there, is the area of how each and every one of us can engage and fully participate in what goes on in this ministry. We believe that there is a place for everyone to serve God in Karura Community Chapel, Kabuku. So in this third area, as I finish, which is the third area, I was listening to the message today, and as Pastor enumerated on Christ, when he came to I and S and T, he mentioned that I stands for integrated into the body, or integrated into the community. So we want to be a community, a congregation, that we are all integrated and we are all engaged in what's going on in the ministry. S, he mentioned, is spirit-filled for service. So we are talking about a Karura Community Chapel that we are all open to serving in different capacities. Spirit-filled for service. And T, he mentioned that it is to be totally engaged. So we all can be totally engaged. The Bible says that the harvest is plenty, or the work is plenty. The work is a lot. But the Bible also says that the laborers are few. So the Bible says, pray to the Lord of the harvest that he may bring in laborers into the vineyard, laborers that are totally engaged. So even as we look at enhancing, the first thing is enhancing our understanding of how church operates. 2, in terms of the strategic direction and the strategic plan. The clarion call in number 3 is that we consider to be IST, to be integrated, to be ready for service, and also to be totally engaged.